Now on CoastTV News.
Rainy night. Slushy side streets about to freeze.
You might have some ice issues.
DelDOT trucks out. A look at road conditions across the area.
Winter storm warning is coming to an end, but now the concern of icing over has just begun.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
You're taking a live look at slick roads on Route 1. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf. The snow is gone and all eyes are on a deep freeze. We have team coverage across Delmarva tonight. Christina D. Robertus with driving conditions on the coast. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams in our weather center. And Charlie Sakaitis in Lewis, where the first town was kind of a ghost town today. But first, a look at the roads. This is Route 1 in the Milford area. Just a few minutes ago, nobody out there, which is probably a good thing. Coast TV News reporter and anchor Christina D. Robertus in our Jeep with current conditions. Christina.
Yeah, Maddie, we're doing okay. We're moving along here on Route 1, heading north. Not too many cars on the road, like you just said from that DelDOT image. I do have to say things seem a lot better than they were earlier at 6 p.m. Much less slick here on the roads, but it's still raining just a little bit, and it's definitely not like driving in a normal rainstorm. You know, it's more slick because of the snow, more slushy, so you have to be aware of that. But what we're seeing here on Route 1 is really nothing compared to what we saw in some of the back roads, some of the neighborhoods in Milton. Take a look at this. Milton, Lewis, Milford. We drove through a few different neighborhoods. They all looked pretty similar with a lot of slush in the roads, not much plowing happening there, at least not yet. We also spoke with a DoorDash driver today. He's been driving all day. He said the conditions have improved since this morning.
You could barely see the roads this morning, but now, you know, it was a little warm. It was warm enough for it to melt, plus then the rain comes in and, you know, it helps out. But then it goes back to worse because tomorrow it's going to freeze, so.
Yeah, if it freezes, that's going to be something to worry about. So be aware of that, and be aware, remember that the bridges will freeze first. Maddie, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Christina. As we take a live look now into Milford, our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us. Paul, you've been tracking this, well, for days, really.
We have, and through that tracking, we were very much concerned about what would be the aftermath after the snow stopped, and that's what we're being very cautious and very deliberate about at this point. But it did drop at least 6.5 inches of snow in Dover, in Milton 4 inches in Selbyville, over 3 for us in Lewis, Millsboro, as well as Dagsboro. Chincoteague had about 1.5 inches, over 2 inches for us, nearly 3 for us in Nassau, Ocean City 3 inches, and just over 3 inches for us in Cambridge. Now here's our concern. Future ice is going to begin to take over our region, but fortunately, we no longer have an active winter storm warning for Sussex. However, for the folks that view us in Cambridge, you're still under a winter storm warning, technically and officially, and it's also in effect for us to our north throughout portions of Kent County. Now, as you take a look at this, we're seeing the last of the precipitation, the back end of it, moving out of the way. Now, this right here, this looked like the all clear, but it's not. It's the all clear for the cold to step in and begin to cause big time problems, because not only that, we also have some very gusty winds. It's going to make driving along the roads, particularly near Ocean City, a bit tough for us in the most southern portions of Highway 1, and also near Lewis, Rehoboth, and down towards Ocean View. The winds, along with the freezing over and the glazing over of the roads because of the cold, that's going to be a big concern, because this is going to be a very subtle enemy, but it can be very deadly if you don't take it very seriously.
Thank you, Paul. Let's toss things over to our anchor, Charlie Sakaitis in Lewis, where it snowed early, but a different story now, Charlie.
It is a different story, Maddie. Early this morning, we woke up to beautiful white snow everywhere you look. It turned into sleet, then rain, then mist, then back to rain, and now we're standing out here and we're actually dry, but most people in Lewis chose to stay home today. I was on 2nd Street earlier and it was just a ghost town. Shops had closed signs on them. Almost everywhere was shut down, except if you went around to Rose and Crown. They actually had a few people in there watching the games today, so they were out, just 3, 4, 5 people at a time. Over at Weiss, the parking lot completely empty, but that did allow for some plowing to take place, so maybe tomorrow things will be a little clearer. And at Nicola's Pizza. There was an opening today. They had their fans and their friends coming in, people that were working in the area. We got to talk to the general manager about why they decided to stay open.
Everyone was in great moods, very thankful that we were open, and we were all happy to be here. And we also had a lot of nurses that stopped in that had checked into the hotel. BB has them staying there so they can make their shift tomorrow. And we had a lot of plow crews come in after they were done working all day, very hungry. So we were happy to be here.
I know north of here and west of here it's terrible, but here it's fine. You know, like the streets nobody's on the streets because they're all sitting at home thinking it's terrible. So.
Now, even though they were serving up pizza pies here today, they did close early. They just stayed open until the end of the first football game, but they didn't want to bring in their night crew because it is going to be getting colder. These roads are going to get icy, and they wanted to make sure everybody got home safely. From Lewis for Coast TV, I'm Charlie Sakaitis.
Thank you, Charlie. State of Delaware offices, they're closed Monday, and this applies to all 3 counties. However, essential employees, this is important, who are designated for severe weather, they are supposed to report as scheduled. And that was state offices. All courts are closed too, by the way, except for 24-hour JP courts. And we're seeing local closures on top of state. In Sussex County, all government offices are closed tomorrow as well. The Board of Adjustment was supposed to meet Monday night. That's been postponed. Items on that agenda will be rescheduled to a later date. The town of Georgetown is closing down its offices due to the weather. Here's a look at 1:13 a little earlier this evening. The scheduled town council meeting for Monday at 7, that's canceled. Agenda items are all going now to the February 9th town council meeting. Multiple other meetings have been rescheduled, like Lewis, Milford, they're going virtual for government services. And yes, kids, if you're still awake, pretty much every single school is closed. We do have a complete list of closures right now on coasttv.com at our website and the top of our app. You're hearing water pouring into the sewers in Ocean City as rain continues to fall. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zapay live in OC. And Kevin, drivers are taking their time.
Maddie, it has been raining all day today here in Ocean City, which has caused puddles like these to be in the roads here in town. And that is causing some concern for people. Joey Gilkerson is concerned for black ice starting Monday, which could lead to problems.
I've got kids, so school probably will be canceled. Probably the dangerous roads. It's going to get worse in the next couple of days.
As of now, Ocean City government offices are scheduled to open up tomorrow. I'm Kevin Zapay, live in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
New tonight, the city of Salisbury says the state of emergency will be lifted there at 6 a.m., though offices and buildings are still closed. Important to note, though, Wicomico County is still in a state of emergency through Monday night. On your screen now is Route 13 in Harrington. You can see lots of snow on the side there, but the road pretty clear. And that's where we find WBOC's Michael Dane in one of those neighborhoods in Harrington. Michael, sleet and freezing rain, a challenge for drivers there.
Maddie, that's very true, even as we continue to work our way closer to Monday. Now, we began the day with quite a bit of snowfall across the area coming down rapidly. Then that moved into sleet by the afternoon and then freezing rain. Now, currently, we do have a light drizzle, but it's certainly not as bad as it was before. I want to show you, though, one of the neighborhoods here in Harrington where many neighbors were outside earlier shoveling. They were also using snow blowers and really any tool necessary to try to mitigate this. We even saw some folks going back out a second or third time just because of how much moisture was ultimately on the ground. You can see the conditions here, a little bit slushy at times. We're also seeing some ice beginning to form as these temperatures continue to be quite cold. We also have crews that were out today really trying to plow the streets and keeping everything as safe as possible, even as we work our way further into tomorrow. Maddie.
Thank you, Michael. Making our way up Delaware, a look from above into Dover. Kent County seeing the most of the snow on Delmarva, and that's where WBOC's Tiffany Amber is. Tiffany.
Yeah, good evening, guys. You know, after a long day, starting with some light and fluffy snow, then going into a sleety, icy mix, into just straight rain, what's around me now is what's left. Now, all the water we saw just a few hours ago here in the Dover area has turned completely into ice. I wanted to show you guys these icy conditions around me here. Look at these big chunks of ice. I mean, the ice here is just solid. We tried to measure how much snow or ice accumulation was around me here just a few moments ago, but my yardstick would not even go into the ground. That's just how thick this ice is. I wanted to show you this untouched, unplowed parking lot next to me here. As you can see, it is just a completely white ice skating rink. I mean, there's no better way to describe it. So the ice here is thick. It is here to stay, especially with these cold temperatures. Now, on that topic, let me show you the roads. There's actually a plow coming down this way right behind me here, but here on the side streets, it's a little bit of a different story. It is just a complete sheet of ice. You saw the plows over here. This pile is starting to accumulate here, but this pile here is just a snowy mix. So everyone is reminded to just stay off the roads. Right now, Delaware is in a state of emergency, and they are here in Kent County in a level 2 driving restriction zone, meaning that only essential workers and people necessarily who have to travel should be on these roads today. Back to you guys.
Thank you, and that brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what worries you most with that upcoming freeze, as Tiffany was just showing us. Take a look at the updated results. 85% saying dangerous for roads, 9% saying frozen pipes, 6% say people and pets outside. If you haven't voted yet, you can still do that, coasttv.com or the mobile app. And be sure to download the Coast TV app for your phone and tablet. You might have noticed we used it for special coverage all weekend. But our news is always on this app, and if you didn't know, you can stream us on Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV with that app.
We'll be keeping a close eye on how low we'll go. Temperatures are expected to drop to the teens, and we're not even going to talk about how low or far below zero we'll go with the wind chills this week.
After that, rain after the snow, what neighbors say it took for them to get back on the roads. We are back in just 60 seconds. Soaked streets in Selbyville after the overnight snow quickly covered the area into a downpour. The mix of rain and slush kept people off the streets. Selbyville pretty quiet as crews cleaned up what was left behind. We spoke with some folks who said they only left once the roads were good.
We stayed home. We had a little brunch, eat a little chili, eat some ribs my wife had made, and yeah. And then we thought we would go out and watch some football.
Sounds delicious. Now, with that rain potentially becoming ice, Delaware trucks, you see them there, were out preparing roadways for what's next. And it wasn't just here on Delmarva. That massive winter storm barreled across the U.S. Sunday, bringing heavy snow in some places and treacherous ice elsewhere. As Michael Yoshida reports, hundreds of thousands of people have lost power across the country, and the storm has crippled travel.
A monster winter storm stretching from Texas up to Maine is causing treacherous travel conditions. More than 200 million people are under winter storm alerts, and multiple states have declared a state of emergency. In some areas like Washington, D.C., it's a dangerous mix of both snow and sleet.
It's switched over to sleet, which is going to compact the snow, make it a little bit denser, which is harder to push.
Some areas of the Northeast could see up to 2 feet of snow by Monday. New York City is expected to get over a foot.
It is brutal, it is bone-chilling, and it is dangerous.
The brutal conditions have caused stretches of interstates across the country to close. The governor of Oklahoma says some areas of his state have been slammed with 11 inches of snow so far.
We got more in a 24-hour period than we've ever had in the last, I think, like 40 years.
In other parts of the country, it's the ice and bitter cold causing serious concern. A water main break near a highway outside Charlotte, North Carolina, encasing power lines and street and ice. And in Tennessee, this woman taking a photo of her driveway and street glazed over.
Completely frozen.
The other big concern is the frigid temperatures, making it harder for crews to treat the roads.
When you get down that cold, the steel in the shocks and stuff like that, it gets brittle and you can damage the vehicles.
In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Coming up next, Paul Williams in our Coast TV First Alert Weather Center with your full forecast after this. And after that, sleeping at the airport, the winter storm canceling flights, including here at home.
The cold after the storm has been our primary concern from the very beginning. Look at this. We have evidence of it already beginning to occur along the boardwalk of Rehoboth as we speak. That glistening is actually the crystallization of that moisture that's right there along that boardwalk. This morning, we start off at 17 degrees in Georgetown as well as Salisbury. And our projected snowfall ranged from 3 to 6 to 2 to 5. And we came pretty close to those numbers. I mean, we looked 3 inches fell in Cambridge, 2 in Seaford, 2.5 in Delmar, 3 in Salisbury, 4 Selbyville, over 3.5 in Lewis, and 3.5 for us in Millsboro, and then 1.5 in Chincoteague, and just over 2.5 in Berlin. The last remnants of the snow was carrying out of the way along with the sleet and the rain, and that's allowed for the winter storm warning to expire for Salisbury and all of Sussex. Now, we still have an active winter storm warning over in the Cambridge area, but I think that's just a formality at this point, and to our north. That's going to come to an end. The gale wind warning from Ocean City down to Chincoteague, that's going to stay hot for us, actually, for the next 12 to 18 hours at the very least. But the good news is the precipitation moved out of the way, but the bad news is the precipitation's moved out of the way, because now in steps the cold. The cold, we've been definitely keeping a close eye on how it will affect us. All right, forecasted lows, we're going to drop to 9 in Georgetown, Cambridge, and Salisbury. So we won't be short stopping as far as access to cold air. That cold blast will begin to overtake the entire eastern, really most of the country for the entire week, and it kicks in tomorrow. It's kind of like a polar vortex. You got to remember, this kind of cold air comes from way up north, and then it travels southbound, and it overtakes the U.S. thanks to a weak jet stream that just opens the door for this unusually cold air. And so as we go into tomorrow morning, we may get a passing piece of precipitation in Fenwick Island, Ocean City, and Berlin, but it'll be very quick in and out. The cold is the big deal. You see how those winds are coming out of the northwest. We drop to the teens Tuesday morning. So it's cold tomorrow morning and then the teens for Tuesday. And whatever moisture is on the road will freeze immediately and cause problems with black ice. Now remember, black ice isn't really black. It's actually a very thin layer of ice that will cause your car to lose control very quickly, but it's so thin, it's practically transparent, making it hard to spot. Then there's how it's going to feel. Tuesday morning, -3 and 4. Wednesday, near 0, if we're lucky. Then we go to 5 below again on Thursday. Whew. Then there's Friday. 10 below, Ellendale, 7, 6, all of that. And it just doesn't back off. So I'm trying to remind you, remember the signs of hypothermia, confusion, shivering, then difficulty speaking, then sleepiness, and then stiff muscles. I bring that up because if you stay outside for any period of time during this week, you see all that? We're looking at 6, 5, and then maybe we'll warm up to 15 for the low by Saturday.
Thank you, Paul. Because of this winter storm, flights have been canceled at BWI and Reagan National Airport. All flights were canceled. Salisbury Airport, same thing there. Philadelphia, a few actually got out, but mostly canceled there. After the break here on Coast TV News, 3-time Olympic champion bobsledder Kaylee Humphreys ready for the Olympics. What makes this return extra meaningful? And then a snowy Milford, what plowers say they're focusing on up next on Coast TV News. Here's what Milford looked like this morning. You can see roads completely covered in downtown and some fallen down or maybe knocked down street signs we actually saw. Some geese were kind of enjoying the partially frozen Missbillion River. And we actually went out with a snow plow today and said they're focused on the roads before, well, Monday morning.
You know, they have to go about their life like none of this ever happened, so we got to have it all clear for them.
Colin says, remember, be mindful of plows, especially when they're reversing as their rear salt spreaders limit visibility. A bill that could make it easier to get an eye exam in parts of Delaware is moving ahead. The House passed a proposal with no opposition that allows optometrists to qualify for the state's health care loan repayment program. Supporters say it could help bring more eye doctors to underserved areas. The measure now heads to Senate committee. Three-time Olympic champion bobsledder Kaylee Humphries is ready to cowgirl up from Milan Cortina. This is her first games as a mother after undergoing IVF.
I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The Calgary Stampede, the greatest outdoor show on earth, is what their claim to fame is. It's a giant rodeo that happens every year.
Hold that thought for a second. Hunter? Pick a hat.
We'll go with this one. All cowboys kind of have their own look, but we're going with this one because I feel like it matches the best.
So you've been riding your whole life?
I can ride. Yeah, I don't ride bulls, I can tell you that.
You don't ride bulls?
I do not. Heck no. I have never tried it, nor will I ever. My name is Kaylee Humphries. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but currently live in San Diego, California. And my sport is women's bobsled.
It is gold for Team USA and Kaylee Humphries in her first Olympics for the Stars and Stripes. It's a golden moment.
Bobsled is definitely a thrill. I think each 4 years has always given me something different, which is what keeps it exciting. This 4 years was about motherhood. We went through IVF in order to have my son. There was a lot throughout the IVF process that I relied on from the Olympic side of sports, sacrificing, dedicating, working hard towards something that's not guaranteed. To come out successful after 2.5 years, to know that my husband and I never gave up and that we have this perfect little boy, it's awesome. But it was challenging, and I learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought humanly possible. You want to be a bobsledder one day? Yeah?
Sure.
Returning back to sport was a bit awkward. It was kind of like when you see those baby giraffes learning to walk again. It was me trying to learn how to rerun post-pregnancy and delivery. But I really do feel like having my son, having that side of my goals and dreams complete, being able to be a mom, just gives me this whole other superpower. And now, man, there's nothing that can stop me now.
Don't forget the Winter Olympics run February 6th to the 22nd, only here on Coast TV. After the break, as we take a live look into Rehoboth Beach, one more check on your forecast after this. Let's go ahead and take a live look back at the roads. This was Milford, and driving restrictions are in place across the state, though in Delaware, Sussex County, Delaware, mostly advisory. Coast TV News' Christina DeRobertis one more time in our first alert weather Jeep. Christina, what'd you see tonight in the last half an hour?
Well, Maddie, the rain has stopped. We're a little closer to the beaches now in Lewis, heading south on Route 1. And it's honestly not too bad here. Those driving restrictions are still in effect in Delaware. In Kent and Newcastle counties, it's a level 2. So that really means only emergency personnel and snow plow drivers should be on the highway. But here in Sussex, it's just level 1. So that means be extra careful and try to avoid driving if you can. But if you make it here to Route 1, you should be okay. Maddie.
Thank you, Christina. Exposure to extreme cold can be dangerous, even deadly. Paul was just mentioning it. And everybody can be at risk, though, especially those without a warm home. And in tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how to stay safe in extreme cold and those health emergencies that everybody needs to be aware of.
As the temperatures drop, the danger rises. In 2023, more than 1,000 people died in the U.S. due to excessive cold or hypothermia, with the highest percentage of deaths happening in January.
Your body becomes so cold, a lot of your bodily functions just can't function the way that they're meant to.
Dr. Carl Allenby with Cleveland Clinic says if you have to go out in extreme cold, dress properly. That includes a scarf or mask that covers the face and mouth, gloves, water-resistant boots, a hat, water-resistant coat, and several layers of loose-fitting clothing. Body parts most affected by frostbite are the nose, ears, toes, cheeks, chin, and fingers.
As the coldness progresses and the frostbite increases, you can have things like numbness. Your extremities could get very pale and then can get hardened as well as you continue to progress through that.
When the body loses heat faster than it can produce it, hypothermia can happen. That's when there's a life-threatening drop in body temperature below 95 degrees. In adults, symptoms include shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, and drowsiness. In babies, signs could be bright red cold skin or very low energy. Alan B. says 911 should be called immediately.
You're going to rely on bystanders who realize that somebody may not be acting right, or that there's some sort of change in their mentation.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
We take a look in Dover right now. We see the roads, although cleared out, but there's potential for a great deal of freezing to occur. That's our primary concern as temperatures stay in the 20s. The precipitation has moved out of the way, so we're clearing out, but we still have blustery conditions along the beaches with at least 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. But fortunately, the precipitation has now moved on and out of the way. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mendeles, and Federico. And here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We are still calling for a yellow alert day for Monday because of the low temperatures. We're going to drop to 9, and we have several days of single-digit lows for the next 7 or 8 days in a row.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for joining us here on Coast TV News. For more news and local weather, please download our apps, and we'll be with the latest news and weather at 5 a.m. Have a great night.